Okay, so I got something on my heart that I feel like I need to share. I want to touch a little bit on our Escaping Chaos recovery meeting. A lot of people think it's just about being addicted to drugs and alcohol, but really it goes far beyond that. Like I said before, the way I like to look at it is if you put your hand on your heart and you feel it beating, then the meeting's for you. The meeting is really, it's to learn how to deal and cope with things. We do 12 steps, and you can apply that to any part of your life. For instance, we're going through our first lesson still, 3 weeks into it, Powerless. We usually try to do a different lesson each time, but this lesson's been amazing, and people's really getting into it. The group of people we've had coming, everybody's talking and getting involved in it, and just really soaking it up. So it's taken us a little longer to get through it. But what we're doing is we're doing a Powerless acrostic, and basically what it is, it breaks down the word powerless, and each individual letter of the word powerless is a serenity robber. And it's a way that you can go through your week or your day if you have to and say, okay, I'm really miserable right now. Why am I miserable? Well, you could go back and look at this acrostic and say, the P is for pride. Am I being prideful? The O is for only if. Am I dwelling on something from yesterday, on how I did something? Only if I would have done this way, or only if I would have done this way, things would have ended up with a different result. Maybe the way you would have wanted it to be. So by dwelling on only ifs, it's not getting you anywhere. You're basically dwelling on the past, and you're not moving forward. So that can rob you of your serenity. The W is worry. If you're like me, you worry a lot. I'm bad for this. I know that whenever I'm miserable and hateful and sometimes hurtful, that it's because I'm worrying about things. I worry too much about things. It robs me of my serenity and my joy and my happiness and stuff. So I know most of the time, whenever I'm having these feelings of that, I know that's why, because I'm worrying. The E is for escape. Are we miserable because we're not dealing with what we need to deal with? It may be financial or anything really. Whenever I was using almost 4 years ago, that's how I dealt with things. I coped with things. That was my coping mechanism. I ran from things, hoping that they was going to fix themselves, and they didn't. So I ran from things, and I would get high or get drunk just to forget about them, just to numb myself to the situation that's going on. And it's a temporary, fix, because whenever I came down from my high or sobered up, or the problem was still there. The only issue with it now was that another problem was on top of that, and then another one, and another one, and all I was doing was running from them. I wasn't fixing the problem. So, are you running from something? Is that stealing your joy? Is that why you're miserable? That's a question you got to ask yourself. R, resentments. I get resentments every day, but I know how to cope with them now. I know how to deal with them. I apologize to people when needed to be, and sometimes I do it when not needed to be. Just because by me having a resentment, that's robbing me of my serenity and my peace of mind, and I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to make my amends where it needs to be and get on with it. If I ask for forgiveness for something and someone don't accept it, they want to dwell on it still, that's not between me and them anymore. You know, that's something they got to deal with. So, you know, that's another thing to ask yourself. Am I really aggravated with somebody? Is something eating at you to where it's just making you angry? It could be a relationship. It could be a divorce that you went through in the past. Maybe your ex-husband cheated on you and left you with the kids and took everything through the divorce. Maybe that happened 20 years ago and you're still holding on to it to this day. You got to learn to let go of that, because you're robbing yourself of serenity and peace of mind and happiness, because you're dwelling on the past, something that already happened that you have no control over, and you're living in that, and you're miserable. That means, you know, you're making people around you miserable. And nobody wants to be around somebody who's always miserable and always negative and stuff. You know, they want to be around happy people. You know, sometimes you get miserable people who want to be around other miserable people, but not me, because, you know, I'm trying to grow from this, from my past mistakes, and move forward. So think about that. You know, is there a resentment that you're holding on to? Try letting go of it, and just seeing how quick you start feeling different about everything, and you know, you find happiness, and you're enjoyable to be around. So so the next one is L, which is loneliness. You know, being lonely, nobody wants to be lonely, and if you're an addict especially, you know, or an alcoholic, or a shopaholic, or a gambler, or you're addicted to food, or whatever it is, you know, when you're by yourself and you're lonely and you're miserable and you're depressed, what do? You turn to what you know, which could be food, it could be gambling, it could be drugs or alcohol, pornography, whatever it is. So it's good to get out and be sociable. That's the good thing about this group. You know, we got people coming who were lonely. We got people come to the groups now, and you know, when you come to our meeting, we don't expect you to talk and spill your guts and everything. Just come and listen. Just listen to what everybody has to share. You know, it's good because you might hear something that you need to hear. Because there's people from all walks of life, man, and there's people who come who never used a drug, never drank a drop in their life, you know, but they have issues on the inside that they're trying to deal with, and they never realized that they really had an issue until they started coming, and then they realized, you know, I got problems, I need to try to take care of myself. And that's what's amazing about this meeting, you know, because it's for everybody. So the next one, E, which is emptiness, feeling empty. I read something a few days ago about addicts and alcoholics and you know, people who gamble and stuff like that. Their addiction came because they was empty, and there was an empty void in their heart, and they needed to feel it, and that they felt it through gambling or pills or alcohol or whatever it is. You know, that's the way they felt that void. It's about learning how to cope with things and learning how to feel that emptiness. You know, so, and I had that emptiness myself, and then I got saved and invited Christ to take over that emptiness, and Christ filled that emptiness for me. And to be quite honest about it, the reason I have almost 4 years, less than a month I'll have 4 years clean. The reason I have that is because of Christ. You know, I got saved, and I basically gave all my problems to the Lord, and Christ is, my relationship with Christ, you know, it's up and down, but I know that if I turned away from that now, I know where I'd be. I'd be right back where I was before. You know, I'm just human. You know, I'm not perfect by any means. I pray every day. I try to share Christ with people because people ask me daily what I did to get to where I'm at now. And I only have one answer. It's Christ. There are other things that you got to do to try to keep, you know, for your recovery, that you got to maintain your sobriety. That's like get away from negative people. Stay away from people who use. You know, you ain't gotta like kick them out of your life, but you just can't hang out with them. So if they're using, because me personally, I'm not strong enough to be around it all the time. So I gotta separate myself from that. It ain't nothing personal towards anybody. It's just something I gotta do for my recovery. You know, so that's how I felt my void, my emptiness. It was through Christ. S is separation. You know, that could lead to loneliness. You start separating yourself from your friends or from your family. You start just pushing people out of your life slowly. Not good. You know, that goes back to learning. That goes back to the old habits that we'll rely on, you know, to cope with, which is going back to the gambling or the pornography or back to the drugs. So check yourself on that. And then the last S is selfishness. You know, when we gamble and when we are doing drugs and going out drinking and partying, or if we're addicted to shopping or, you know, spending money, we're being selfish because we're putting our needs like that in front of our kids, or paying a bill, or, you know, helping somebody out who is really in need of help. You know, I spent a lot of money on dope that I could have spent on my kids. I spent a lot of money on dope that I could have helped pay bills with. I spent a lot of money on dope whenever I could have used it to eat. You know, I got down to about 120 pounds. My cheeks were sunken in. My eyes were sunken in. At one point, I was living under the bridge with the train kids, and, you know, I didn't know where my meal was going to come. So, you know, having to steal off somebody who works for their money, you know, just to get my fix, just to not be sick, you know, because it ain't about, when you get to a certain point as an addict, you know, someone who's addicted to pain pills, it's not fun no more. It's about not being sick, you know. So, selfishness, you know, so there you go. You got the Powerless acrostic. You know, if you can do this weekly, you can say, okay, I feel miserable. Why am I miserable? Why am I biting people's head off? You know, why am I getting so angry at my kids over the littlest things? You know, why am I, you know, aggravating my wife? Why am I, you know, you just got to ask yourself that. And then you can say, really reflect on it and just think about your week and say, you know, is it because I was dwelling, was I worrying too much? You know, was I, you know, worrying about if I would have done it this way or that way, the results would have been different? Was I being prideful? Was I running from something? Was I being selfish? Was I starting to separate myself too much? You know, did I have too much time by myself? What was it? Figure it out, nip it in the butt, and move on. You know, recovery is a lifelong process, and we all have problems. Some hide it, some never deal with it. You know, they go through life and they just go through life. They don't go through life trying to help other people. They're just selfish. They just want to worry about their own self and their little circle, you know. To me, what I get out of life is, you know, sharing my story with people and what God has done for me, where I was then to where I am now. So, you know, and I have an awesome group of friends now that to where if I am doing any of them things, they call me out on it. My wife called me out on it. My mom, my sisters will call me out on it, you know. And, you know, I need that. I need to be put in check so I don't get offended by that. I may get mad at first, but I get over it, you know. Because why? Because I've been doing these groups long enough that I've learned that I can't, me personally, I can't dwell on something that has already happened. You know, you can't change your past. Everything that's happened in your past can never be changed. You can't change it. But you can change your path. You can change your direction you're going. So, you know, live life, be happy, find your serenity, you know, help people, get involved in your community, and, you know, and people want to be around you and will enjoy being around you, you know. So, if you ain't got nothing to do on Saturdays, Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., you know, we have a meeting every Saturday at Life Song. We have food, we have music, we have people, guest speakers, we have recovery, you know. So come check it out, Escaping Chaos Recovery, and it is faith-based, and you know, it's awesome because God is doing something in this group already, which is 3 weeks into it, and God has His hand in on it, and we're going to keep Christ-centered in it, and we're going to see big results in this. I really, truly believe it. So, if you're curious about it, come check it out. You ain't got to come in and talk, spill your guts. Just come down and listen. Listen to the stories, and you're going to be amazed by how much you can relate to everybody. You know, and it's just awesome because everybody that I've talked to who's never really had a drug addiction or alcohol addiction, it's like they had no idea that that's what this was about. It was about more than that. And they didn't realize that the group was going to help them as much as it did, you know. So it's an awesome group. I would love for it to get bigger and grow and stuff, and I'd love to see y'all come out, man, and support it. You know, we want to complain about the drug and stuff epidemic in our community. We want to complain about, you know, maybe somebody who's shopping too much, or somebody's gambling problem, or the drinking problems that go on around here, and this and that. We want to just sit in our chair behind our computer and gripe about it, or on the phone and gripe about it, or gripe about everyone else. But you don't want to get off your butt and do nothing about it, you know. So come down, check it out. We have all kinds of resources, man. I got so many resources that for about any kind of addiction or anything that you need, I probably have a resource for it, and we will send you in the right direction. If we can't get the answers you need, we might be able to lead you to someone who can. So come down, check it out for an hour. We got child care. People will babysit your kids, you know. So yeah, I just had that on my heart. I just wanted to share that with everybody. So if anybody has any questions about the group, just hit me up, message me on Facebook, or shoot me a text. And hopefully I'll see you all there.